Hey guys, welcome along, welcome back to Nigel's Modelling Bench. This is now part 6 of the Saturn V build from Revell. This is the 144th scale kit. Just a quick recap. As you'll know, in part 5 we did the rounding up of these horrible areas here. We've also done all the sanding on the joints there. That's on stage 1. I've now got stage 2 and stage 3 to do. As you can see, I've used green paint on here rather than black. It makes it a bit easier to see. You get the shadows to pick up where the where I'm going to do my scribing. I'm not going to do that on camera because you've seen it all. If you want to see it, go back and look at step 5. It's going to be exactly the same. It's just on this one it's slightly finer, so it's needing a lot less work. This one's pretty much the same. Obviously around the bottoms here we haven't got any issues to deal with. One thing I am going to work on is here. You can see on this, where is it? Where was it? I'm sure there was a ridge that I was working on. Here, sorry. Yeah, here you can see again, because of the moulding restrictions, instead of being a sort of strip like that one is, this one is kind of like the edge is stretched out. So I'm tempted to sort of shave that off and replace it with a piece of plastic strip, or just try and clean up this edge here and then run a scriber down the side of it there. But I want to basically square that edge up. I'll show you how I do that. But doing this here you don't need to see. We're going to get some work done on these engines, and I'll be showing you basically in this part how I'm going to get all that cleaned up, and the techniques in ensuring you get a seam-free joint. Obviously I need to finish off the inside of that one, which I'll do off camera, and then work on the outside of that one too. This the Lunar Module, I haven't put the nozzle on this one yet. We're going to finish this one off and get that one primed in some black. I need to put some more Mr. Surfacer in those joints by the look of it. You're probably wondering why I'm making such a fuss. If the foil doesn't work, then I'll be painting it gold. And I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with this, which is called the SLA or something, I can't remember now. As you can see, it's not very good and it doesn't fit that well. What I have discovered, and this would be a good tip for you if you're building this kit, to make these doors shut a lot nicer, okay, I'll just show you, if you go around the inside of here and just shave off just a slither of plastic, nothing too much, but just shave off just a slither, just to take the corner off, they will shut better. And also, try and get it in this shot, if you run your knife here, I'll just take a little bit more off of this one to show you. If you shave some plastic from there and then go in and cut it that way, just to remove a little bit from that area of the hinge. So what you're doing, you're actually cutting plastic out of that part there. Then that also makes them shut a lot nicer. So oh, and the other thing I found was these lugs here. If you just carve a little bit off the front of these lugs, the parts that you glued on, that also helps them shut a bit nicer. So you can get a half decent joint, but it's still not as good as I would like it. So if I am going to have this opening, I'm going to have to make up some kind of mechanism inside so that when it's all shut, it all sort of interlocks and clips together, because I don't like this kind of the fact that it's all like this. It needs something in there to make it stay round, and then we can work on the joint faces then. And obviously when this goes on, when the CSM goes on, that helps to hold it all together, but it's still, as you can see, it's still not perfect. So I don't know, maybe I could use magnets again or something, I don't know. So I'll see what I'm going to do there, and that'll probably be the next part anyway. So in this part, like I said, I'm going to show you how to get these done, get the Lunar Module finished off, or painted black at least, and then we'll move forward from there. And also, if you notice, I've got a brand new cutting mat. Up front and honest, as usual with me, I did mention this in another video. I got paid £112 something for my channel, from the advertising, from you guys watching, and as I've always said, that money will go straight back into the channel. So basically what I'm going to do is spend it. I mean, I'm going to buy a light to get some better lighting for you, so we get to get better videos. So I want to keep £100 back for that. I'm waiting for the right one to come up. The other thing is I've spent £10 on a new mat, so any money I get from advertising on this channel I will put straight back into the channel. So after I've bought a light, then I'm going to start getting some money up together and get a new camera so we can get some better videos. At the moment I'm using my iPhone 6s Plus, so yeah, so anyway, keep watching and we'll get some work done. Right, so I've got the Lunar Module base sanded out now, and then in a minute we'll get that painted black. I want to do some work on these exhausts first, or the engines first. I keep calling them exhausts. They're engines, aren't they? I might do something with a magnet with that as well, so that when it goes round it kind of gets a magnet there and you have to pull it away from the magnet to turn it. I might see if I can do something with that. So moving on to these, we've now got to look at the outside surfaces, and as we can see on like this one here, there's a hole through there where there's the pin for locating them together, so that's going to need some filler in there for a start. So the first thing to do is get these elastic bands off and chuck them in the bin. Don't reuse these cheap pound shop things, they're awful as I keep saying. So we'll get our rubber bands off, and they've basically held it together while the glue dried, and they've given it some support when we going in there and pushing and pulling with the emery paper. So there we go. So the outside of these now need to be sanded. Now what we could do, we could use sanding sticks, but we run the risk of losing the sharp edges between the ribs. We could use sandpaper, but what I'm going to do is initially, I've got a sponge here, and I'm just going to initially go over and very gently with a fairly smooth sanding sponge, this is about a 1200 grit, just remove the mould seam from the raised areas, if you like. Obviously it's not going to get down in between. Okay, and then when it comes to this part here, what am I doing? I don't want that one, I want this one. When it comes to this part here, I'm going to use my soft sanding sponge and just gently sand away like that, so that I don't lose my round surface. And then I've got this little green narrow sanding stick here. These are from Lunar Modules. You can get them from lots of different places, Lunar Modules, UMP, whatever. Be careful of some of the cheaper nail file types, they don't last anything like as long. So it's worth remembering, you know, you pay your money, you take your choice, but some of the nail files I've bought in the past, they just fall apart. They tend to, as soon as they catch on an edge or something, they just tend to fall apart. So just getting into the corners there, and then just with that sponge going over. And then what we'll do in a minute, we'll give this a quick coat of paint, see what the seams look like, and then we can rework them from there. So basically, to get in between here, I'm going to use some files. Now you could use these diamond files, but I would suggest they're probably a little too coarse, so probably better off with these little modelers files, these little steel files. And I'm going to use the triangular one. What I'm going to do is just literally go in and, using the corners of the triangular file, just literally go in and clean up around these ribs. I'm not going crazy, I'm just removing the obvious mould seam, and then when you stroke the file across it gently, you should be able to feel if there's a step, and there is still a slight step, so just do it some more. I'm not putting any pressure on, I'm just letting the file do the work. And what you've got to be careful of is in sanding that joint down, that flat joint, you don't end up widening the, if these are two ribs here and you're filing between them, if you keep going you'll end up producing that kind of effect on the joint, and you don't want that. You want it to all stay parallel, and you basically want the seam to disappear. So now with this sanding stick, I'm going to just go in on an angle like that, and what I'm doing now is just putting the radius back on the rib, and then sanding sponge, and that is pretty much it. I can't feel any steps in there, so what we'll do is we'll get some primer on that and see what it looks like. Now let's work on this area up here. Now I can use a sanding stick here, get into that corner. I can use a sanding stick there. I'm going to need a file to get into the underneath there, and then swap to a sanding stick. And then again using the corners of the triangular file, just going in between the ribs. And we'll have to do all this again on the 96 scale one, and I'll show you that. And then again we've got a pretty seamless joint now. I'm just going to run the file between these. Yeah, I can feel a step in those. So what I'm going to do is get the corner of the sanding stick again and go between each rib, like so. By the way, timeline guys, today is Saturday the 4th of May. Yesterday, as you will know from my videos, was my birthday, which was the 3rd of May. And I've got a bit of a headache today, to be honest, from last night, but hey. And what I'm doing, I'm actually uploading, I've done part 8A of the build along this morning. So that's going up now as we speak. And then I've uploaded part 5 of this today, and I'm probably going to set part 4 off today. What I've got to be careful of is not to put too many videos out, because I lose subscribers. I've had subscribers unsubscribe because I put too many videos out. I couldn't believe when I read it, but I guess when you keep seeing that notifications bell come up, it might be, oh, not another one, go away. So there we go, that's that done. So I'm going to get some paint on that now, and we'll have a quick look and see what we think about that joint. In fact, I'll do this other side as well, off camera, and then I'll come back and we'll see what it looks like with some paint on. I decided to do the magnet thing with the Lunar Module, and I tried with it all together. I tried putting a magnet through and gluing it with super glue, but it wasn't going to work. And then I realised what was happening. It was trying to go onto a stepped face in there, so I've removed that step from there now. So I've mixed up some epoxy, and I can take my magnet in my non-magnetic tweezers here, which you can get a set of I think it's 7 for about £7 or 5, is it? I did a review of them. Go take a look. They're really, really great little tweezers, and they are not magnetic until you get to about 1 inch up the shaft. So I'm just going to put that down on there like that, he says. I'm going to take the tweezers away, and now I can use the tweezers to just prong that around a bit, and then I can put some more epoxy around it. The other reason I had to take this apart was I actually managed to get super glue on one of the legs, obviously this one, and that made it stop working, so I had to cut it all apart again. Luckily it came apart really easy, which is a bit worrying, because I'm worried that maybe the tummy extra thing doesn't work very well with this plastic, so maybe the whole thing's going to fall apart quite easily, who knows. So that's gone in there now like that. Okay, so that can just sit there and set. Now for the actual top part of the Lunar Module, I've drawn a hole that a head of a bolt will go into, and then I've shoved a load of blue tack down in there. So what I'm going to do now is put a load of epoxy in there, like that. And if you can hear a groaning noise, that's my dog having a groan. It's not my stomach or anything else. So I've got the bolt there on an Allen key, so I can just shove that into that blue tack and push it in until it's flush with the base, like so. Then I can get some more epoxy, just to make sure that is flush. In fact, I will have it just sticking out, because with the magnet it will kind of tip it over otherwise. I could just put some epoxy on there, and then I should be able to sand that out, and it'll just become like a little bulge, tiny little bulge. In fact, I will push it in flush, and if I need to do anything I can use could use some plastic cards, so I'll just push it in a little bit deeper there. There we go. Just fill the center in like so, and then that can sit, that needs to sit horizontally like that. Is it in shot? There we go. So we've got that one there and that one there, and they're curing now. So once they're cured, I'll come back. Right, so magnets are in now, or magnets in and screws in, and it kind of doesn't really do a lot, but never mind. Filled in that hole, got a piece of sprue from the kit, 3mm diameter, and just pushed it in that hole, glued it in and sanded it flat. So that's that taken care of. So now we can put all this back together again, which is like deja vu. So on top like so, and glue it down, but for some reason it's not going down here. There we go. That leg was popping back out. So that's all back together now. So I'll get some of my extra thin, just run it into these joints. Like so. And I hope I'm not gluing the legs up, because I want them to fold. And then get it off the glue tack. And hold it all together with some pegs. And yep, you've seen all this before. You're not re-watching the same video. This is a different video. I'm doing it again because I messed it up the first time. Well, no, I didn't mess it up the first time. I've decided to put magnets in there, and I think I might have wasted my time, but never mind, eh? And a bit more glue in that one. And then a couple of pegs to peg that shut. And I'll take that one off of there, put some more glue in that joint, peg that one shut. And peg that one shut. And there we go, guys, that's the Lunar Module built again. Right, the engines are all cleaned up now. I've done all the seams, just got some dust on them, and I'll give them a go of grey primer so I can see how good the seams are. But there's no, I've got a tiny bit of filler in them where there's a couple of holes, but there's no actual filler in any seams or anything, so I'm expecting to have to do some more work, but we'll see how they come out. And like I said, I'm going to use grey primer so that it really shows up any irregularities. Right, so they've been painted in Alclad filler primer, and as you can see, they're not too bad. Need a little bit of work. It looks like I've gone a bit over the top with the sander there and sort of flattened that area out a bit, so that needs to be brought back into line. That one there needs some work still on that seam. That side's not too bad. It's just basically the same all over, really. That one needs a bit of filler in it, or a bit of Mr. Surfacer, because it's got an undercut in it by the look of it. And overall, they're not too bad at all. So that's the dividend you get for taking the time. If you go back to the first step of this model, in the first part I did, that's the dividend you get for taking the time, removing those pins, gluing them together on one side at a time, you know, pulling them about to get them round, and this is where it pays off really in these seams. I mean, that there is probably acceptable. You could probably leave that one as it is, but I won't. But you probably could. And of course, the other thing is you've got to remember the way they go. When you look at the base plate, which has disappeared. I don't know where it's gone. We can see then that the engines actually fit in certain ways, so you can sort of, you know, your best outer seam, you want to have that sticking out, and the worst one goes in the middle, sort of thing. So I'm going to let these dry now, and then I'll come back and put some Mr. Surfacer on them and do some more work. Right, so here we are, what, hour and a half later, and bit of work done. Lunar Modules now glued together, as you can see, and dry, so we can just fold the legs in like that, and then we can put the top part on. I keep calling it the top part, it's not called the top part, is it? And then yeah, that just goes around, and that magnet's just enough to hold it and stop it falling off, but to be honest, I wouldn't bother. So that's that done, so I'm happy with that, and that can now, that's all ready now to be painted up. I need to do these joints again and then paint it black, and then see about getting some gold foil on there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I've now sanded the joints again after the primer's dried and painted them with Tamiya green because that's what I had, and now if I want to do any more work I'll be easily be able to see when I'm through. But I think you could agree that there the joint is I think that's pretty much taken care of. I mean, there are better ones. They're not absolutely perfect, but when you consider it goes in there and then the shroud is actually over it, so all you're going to see is this part here really. This part all faces in, and then there's one here which is particularly, this one, it's got a pretty bad bit of moulding, or I've ruined it or whatever there. So that's going to be my middle engine. I've also just put some green up inside in the bottoms of them, so, or the tops of them it should be really, isn't it? So yeah, I'm pretty much happy with that. I think that'll be good. I might give them a little run over tomorrow with a soft sanding stick just to try and get it a little bit better, but I think that's okay. So I've got to now get on and get these bits done, and then come back and show you the results. So I'm afraid this is going to be very bitty, this part 6, because it's all doing stuff that I've done before, and you don't really need to see it all again. It's just going to be like watching paint dry. You know, you don't want to watch me polish these joints, do you? You don't want to watch me do all this scribing again. So I'll get and get that done, and then I'll come back. As I said when I started this video, I think I said when I started this video, today is Saturday the 4th of May, so that's it for today now on this one, so I'll be doing some more work tomorrow. I think I'm just about to hit the button and upload part 4 for you, so yeah, hope you enjoy that. That one's pretty good. I want to apologise, guys, for the kind of bittiness of this video. Of all the videos really, because it's not been any flow. As I said, it's very difficult because you do a bit, you wait for something to dry, and you know, it's like I've just done the exhaust nozzles and now I'm waiting for the paint on those to dry before I can do anything else with them. So I thought, well, I'll carry on doing this you know, this area here like you saw me doing step 5 on stage 1. Step 5 on stage 1, yeah, that sounds confusing. But I just thought I'd show you, I said I wasn't going to show you, but something I need to talk about. On this, and the lines are finer, so when you do your initial scribing you need to go out further. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to pick up on that first line. In fact, I won't pick up on the first line, I'll do that on my optivisor, but this second line here, just going to pick up on that and scribe away until, what I do is I keep going until I feel it bump into the stainless steel. There we go. When it bumps into, then I know I'm at the right depth, because I know if it rides over the top of it, it's still too high. And I'm going to go the same on the next one. And basically what I'm trying to get across to you here, guys, is with because they're finer, we need to go further out. So I'm going to go 5 per side out. Okay, so we need to scribe more than we did. Let's go for 6. We need to go out further than we did with the other one, because they're finer, they're not as deep, so when you sand they disappear a lot quicker. So be warned, if you only go 2 or 3 wide and then you start sanding, you may lose your place. So just do that, open these ends up. Oops, went off there. There we go. So now they're all scribed. And that's all ready to start sanding, and then as the other side, just keep rubbing your finger the dust and the dirt goes in and it marks out where you've been, and you can see as you go around, that's what you're after, it's the same sound all the way around. Okay, right, so all those areas are done now, done all those bits are all radiused off nicely, and we've lost that pointy horrible bit that I've gone on about ever since I did a review of this kit. So that's all gone, that's in the past. What I'll do now is get rid of this lump here. You can see that the way it's moulded, if you look under the rule, you can see that instead of being a nice square piece like this is, you know, square either side, because of mould restrictions it runs off on an angle. So what I've done, I've taped a rule onto the side here, and then I can basically just scribe a line along the edge of that, along that top there, and that gives me somewhere to start from. And then just keep scribing away. Of course, the other way you could do this is cut it off and then glue on a plastic strip. But I'm just going to keep scribing away, going from either end, until basically I get down to the level of the that's where I want to be. Okay, so I've got a big enough line there now. I can afford to take the rule away, and it's always worth taping the rule in place, especially on round stuff, because it will just, the rule will just slip otherwise. It's gone for good. So just scraping away like that till I get down to the depth I want to be at. And if I go too deep, it's no problem. I can just put some filler in there. So now I've got that like that, I can get my knife, and I'm going to make an incision here. Okay, so that's an incision there up to the scribe line, and then I can slowly with the knife just slice away the plastic like so, and you can see now that that ramp has gone. Okay, so that ramp has gone, and now I can just use the knife just to scrape that down. As I say, carve in the knife there, make sure you get a nice sharp corner in there, which is what you want. And going from this way, just scrape across, and there we go. That there is now a square raised area rather than a sort of lean-to roof, if you like. That's how it looked before. And then the same on here, I can just get the knife, go in, and then just carve up to it like so. So here we go, guys. There's nothing much left of this kit at all now. We've basically got our F1 engines there with the seams all looking lovely. So they're pretty seamless, I think you'll agree. Lunar Module, we've got our base here. The three main stages with all the that horrible angle gone, which I don't like. And then we've got all our bulkheads and stuff to go in. And that is basically it. I mean, I've got the Apollo assembly here, which I've still got to do some work on those doors, and I'll show you what I do with them. Next thing I'm going to do is assemble this area here, and then start putting all the bulkheads in. So basically, I think we'll call that for part 6. It's been a shorter one, I think. And then part 7 is going to be all about final assembly, getting all these little bits and pieces and greeblies on, and get the launch escape system together. I don't know what I'm going to do about this stage 2 engine situation. It's a mess. I'll probably just glue it together. No point in having it coming apart if it's all wrong. But then if I do have it coming apart, I might decide to upgrade it at a later date. So maybe I will leave it coming apart. We'll see. So that's it for now. Next part's going to be all about getting this this sorted and getting this LES built up, and basically getting all the parts into one model so we can get rid of the box out to the recyclers. So thanks for watching this one. Not Not been a hell of an interesting one, this, I know, but I want to get a video out there and keep you interested, rather than just, because things slow down now. It's been bang bang bang, get together, you know, glue fill, paint, whatever. Now it's all going to slow down a little bit where we do some proper modelling and put it all together. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.